Welcome back to Video Game Anniversary, brought to you by MaxCubeGaming. Today's game that is celebrating an anniversary is a controversial one, as today's game is Resident Evil 5. It's a third-person shooter video game developed and published by Capcom. It is a major installment in the Resident Evil series and the fifth of the franchise, and it was announced in 2005, the same year as its predecessor, Resident Evil 4. The plot involves an investigation of a terrorist threat by a bioterrorism security assessment alliance agents Chris Redfield and Shava Alomar in Kijiju, a fictional region of West Africa. Chris learns that he must confront his past in form of an old enemy, Albert Wesker, and the shocking revelation of his former partner, Jill Valentine. Resident Evil 5 is a third-person shooter with an over-the-shoulder perspective. Players can use several guns, including handguns, shotguns, automatic rifles, sniper rifles, and grenade launchers, as well as melee attacks. Players can make a quick 180-degree turn to invade enemies, and the game involves boss battles, which has certain quick-time events. The first game that really went away from the Resident Evil traditional roots, from the traditional horror and thriller into a more of an active action shooter. The reputation for RE5 received was generally favorable for its visuals and content for that modern time, but some complained that it wasn't a true Resident Evil game. The receptions began with Metacritic. PS3 version was given an 84 out of 100. The 360, an 83 out of 100. The PC, 86 out of 100. PS4, 69 out of 100. Xbox One, a 75 out of 100. OneUp.com gave it a B. Edge gave it a 7 out of 10. Eurogamer, a 7 out of 10. Game Informer, 9.5 out of 10. Revolution gave it a B+. GameSpot, 8.5 out of 10. IGN, a 9 out of 10. And finally, official Xbox Magazine, the US version, gave it a 9 out of 10. Shortly before the release of RE5, Capcom announced that a competitive multiplayer mode called Versus would be available for download several weeks after. Versus became available for download in Europe and North America on April 7th, 2009, a month after release, through both the live version of Xbox Market and the PlayStation Store. Versus had two online game types: Slayer, a point-based game challenging players to kill Majin, and Survivals, where players hunt each other while dodging and attacking Majin. Both modes can be played by two-player teams. The Windows version of RE5 originally did not support digital content. Sales. The PlayStation 3's version of RE5 was a top-selling game in Japan in 2 weeks following its release, with over 320,000 units being sold. In March 2009, it became the fastest-selling game of its franchise in the United Kingdom and the biggest 360 and PS3 game release in the country. By December 2023, RE5 sold 9 million units worldwide on PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 with its original release. The Gold Edition had sold an additional 2.4 million units. The PlayStation 4 and Xbox One version sold for around 300 million units combined, bringing a grand total sales of 14.4 million units combined. Awards. Resident Evil 5 won the Award of Excellency at the 2009 Japanese Game Awards. It was nominated for both Best Action Adventure Game and Best Console Game at the 2009 Gamer Critics Award. It was also nominated for Best Action Game at the 2009 IGN Game of the Year Awards and Best Sound Editing in Computer Entertainment at the 2010 Golden Reel Awards. It was also nominated for 5 nominations at the 2010 Game Audio Network Guild Awards. Fun fact, RE5's 2007 E3 trailer was criticized for displaying white protagonists killing black enemies in a small African village. According to Newsweek editor Nagili Kroll, and I quote, "There was several imageries in the trailer that devoted with classic racist imagery." Although he acknowledged that only the preview had been released, creator Takarichi said that the game's producers were completely surprised by the complaints. The second trailer for the game, released May 31st, 2008, revealed a more racial diverse group of enemies, and the African BS-88 agent Shiva assisted the protagonist in hopes of relieving the complaints. RE5 was the first Resident Evil game to be presented in high definition. This is the first Resident Evil game where all previous games in the franchise were referred. In fact, upon completing the game, you unlocked a history of Resident Evil, and it shows the past 70 years. The drug that was specifically designed to keep Albert's virus in control has a writing on the label, and it says, "Caution, do not give to children under 2 years old of age, except with doctor's advice." So, for me, RE5 did not hit the horror and thriller factor that I was used to. RE4 was a masterpiece for that particular factor. Not only was it action, but there was horror and there was a thriller factor. And RE5 just kind of felt like a Call of Duty game, like an action game. Although I did enjoy the plot and the lore and seeing the demise of the iconic villain, Albert Wesker, the expectations moving forward, if you know the history of Resident Evil, kind of leaped it to a different direction. But that is my opinion. What is yours? Let me know in the comments below and tell me a time and where you played a Resident Evil game. What is your favorite game? Who is your favorite character? Leave those thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.